Everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is White Rice Wednesday. So to recap on this week's Survivor, it basically starts off with dealing with the aftermath of Neil being evacuated, and they're all feeling it. Most of them feel bad that Neil left in that way. Right off the bat, Scott said something that I found a bit offensive. He said that line from Forrest Gump, with life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're gonna get. And just the way he said it sounded a bit offensive to me. And then Nick, of course, is being so arrogant as usual, and he thinks he's all high and mighty. They get into the reward challenge, and it's basically a clean sweep. It's basically a schoolyard pick between yellow and the blue team, and the yellow team crushed the blue team in the challenge, and basically the reward was they played for ice cream, and I think it was Julia, Scott, Debbie, Ty, and I can't remember who the last person was that won the ice cream with them, but because they were right next to each other, next to the people who lost the challenge, they couldn't really talk strategy, so they were revealing some family stuff, and Scott revealed how his mom's is in assisted living, and even Jason before revealed that to everyone his daughter has autism. And for me, somebody who has autism, I mean, I got teary-eyed, seeing how hard his family works to get the services that his daughter needs. It's just heartwarming to see that, and I hope I can be out there and play in the game too. But they also made me think too. I mean, the reward they're playing for ice cream, that made me think of, depending on what the immunity challenge is, that's gonna really affect them in the game if they're just filling their bellies up with ice cream. So they get back to camp, and I believe it was Nick thought they were gonna start an all-girls alliance, and he asked Julia about it, and he said, no, nothing's happening. And Sydney is like right there. I mean, I don't know why they said it right in front of her, so she calls him out on it, and they're all, Scott, Jason, and Nick look like a deer in headlights. And Jason talks to Sydney about it and asks, why did you blow up and everything? And Sydney, she pointed out that the guys can talk all they want, but if girls talk, then it's automatically an all-girls alliance, which I kind of agree with Sydney on that. I mean, she does have a point there. Also, Aubrey said something, because her, Debbie, and Joe are like the outcasts, and Braun and Beauty are on top. But Aubrey said that it's the outcasts that are gonna come up on top, and they're gonna be on the bottom. So I really agreed with Aubrey there. The immunity challenge was interesting. They had to stand on this perch, and their hands had to be, they had to hold their hands like back and hold on to this the whole time. And of course, Jeff makes it a bit more difficult because he brings food out. And when you're out there for 21 days, of course you want food, but I most certainly would not give up my chance for immunity for food, because Jeff gave them 10 seconds to decide if they wanted to stay in the game or drop out for some food. And after that, they had to stay on. So I think it was Jason, Scott, and Joe opted for the food, and I think Julia, right before he went to get the food, she fell off the perch. But it really came down between Ty and Sydney, and I gotta give them both credit, because being up there for so long, you could see Ty was struggling a bit, and Sydney was like staring straight ahead, like she had like this intense focus. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Sydney drops, and Ty wins immunity. So congratulations to Ty, and to Sydney too, because that looked like a really, really tough challenge. So they go back to camp, and Aubrey knows that they're on the bottom, and Sydney kind of sees an opportunity, because at the immunity challenge, Nick said to them that we're just going to pick off the brains first, one by one, and it's just a matter of fact. And I believe when they went back to camp, Nick even said to Aubrey, he bluntly said that it's going to be a split vote between Aubrey and Debbie. So both Sydney and Aubrey see an opportunity to try to get Nick out and form this all girls alliance, because if Michelle and Julia can join on with them and they could get Nick out, then the girls have the numbers then. So Michelle and Julia were a bit hesitant at first because they have been loyal to Nick and Ty, but Sydney makes that same pitch I just said to them. And even before they were going to tribal council, they were all talking like what they should do and everything. And at tribal council, it was very interesting to watch because it's pretty clear where the lines are drawn. I mean, Nick, Jason, and Scott think that it's going to be a split vote, but it's still, for all we know, up in the air. But then Ty reveals about the super idol. I'm like, why would you do it? You basically just revealed to everyone that you have an idol, because nobody who doesn't have an idol, who does not have an idol, would know that. And Julia's like looking at him like, what? So Debbie then points out, saying, just the fact that you don't know that proves that you're on the bottom. So I really think in that moment, Julia and Michelle decided to align with Debbie, Sydney, and Aubrey. And I believe they tried to split the vote, but it ended up being Nick that got sent home, or sent to the jury, I should say. And I really think they made the right decision overall, because Nick is so full of himself. He reminds me of Joe from Worlds Apart, where he's just so arrogant and thinks he's all high and mighty. And I'm really glad that these girls have their head in the game and they got rid of the threat while they can. So I don't know, from the previews from next week, it looks like the Scott and Jason are not having it. It looks like they're going to sabotage the food, I guess. So I don't know if they're going to dump the rice out or not, but you got to think, if they dump the rice out, that affects them too. But I really hope that these girls can stick together. I mean, I'm really big fans of Debbie and Sydney. I really think that Sydney could potentially win this whole thing. So we'll have to wait and see for next week. If you want to tune in to Survivor, it is on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on CBS. I hope you guys enjoyed my Survivor recap. Like, subscribe, and remember, stay regal.